Howdy and welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. I'm Jerry Snyder. As an elite level athlete, owner of All In Health and Wellness, and author of the book Confidence Through Health, my goal is to help you achieve your goals and dreams using health as the conduit to get there. I want to say thank you to Social Media Cowboys for sponsoring this week's episode of the Confidence Through Health podcast. If you need help with a website, if you need social media needs for your business, if you need help with AdWords, SEO, all those things that you know you should be doing but you are too busy to do or you're too confused about, they are the experts that you need in your corner. If you're interested in launching a podcast such as mine, they help me edit my podcast and do a fantastic job making sure that all of the technical side of it is handled and we launch a nice, neat, edited podcast episode each week. So I want to thank Social Media Cowboys for their continued sponsorship of the Confidence Through Health podcast. You can find them at socialmediacowboys.com, or you can find them as well with other sponsors at confidencethroughhealth.com. Howdy and welcome back to the Confidence Through Health podcast. This is your host, Jerry Snyder. Today I want to talk a little bit about how you treat yourself and how others can sometimes tell a little bit about how you treat yourself based on how you treat the expensive things that you purchase in your life. And unfortunately, we have in our society, we have sort of a way of going about things that we buy something that's super expensive. And I'm saying it's just sort of the average, the average person. Typically will take a lot of time. No matter what that expense level is for you, that expense level may be $500, maybe $200, maybe $4,000, maybe $14,000. Whatever that expense level is for you, that it's like all of a sudden now I have to do some research. I have to make sure that I'm getting what I want. I have to put a lot of effort into it before I buy it. It's not just something you go to the grocery store and go, yep, I'm going to buy that today because I need it. This is one of those things that you are spending a lot of time and effort into researching, making sure it's the right purchase for you, and thinking it through. Do you really need the item? Is it really worth the money? Is it something that's going to come down in value quickly? All of those things are questions that you ask yourself. So when you purchase things like that and you go through those motions, a lot of times people will buy that item and then take extremely good care of it. You're going to take really good care of it for a little bit. That little bit is determinant on really what it means to you, how much the value was, how much it was that it affected you to part with the money that it took to purchase that item. And so you're going to sit there and go, okay, maybe for 3 months or 6 months or a couple of years, you're going to take really good care of that item, right? So think about like somebody who buys somebody who's a learning early on musician. They're just started with guitar lessons and they buy a really expensive guitar. They're going to keep that thing in its padded case. They're going to keep that thing clean. They're going to wipe it down every time they play it. They're going to make sure that it's tuned up. They're going to make sure that it's not just in its case, but that the case is stored properly for quite some time, right? When you get a brand new car, maybe not a used car, because sometimes that can be like, I needed another vehicle. I bought a used car. It's already been used some, so breaking it in. But if you buy a brand new car, how long is it before you allow somebody to eat in your car or you eat in your car? How long is it before you allow somebody to drink in your car? Before you allow them to get into your car and they maybe have dirt on them or their shoes or their pants or something, or they're sweaty or, any of those types of things that you don't put a towel down. What is that breaking point? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 9 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? Everybody's breaking point's a little bit different. But the correlation I want you to make is there's an expense level to where the higher the expense is and the more delicate the item is to you, the more personal, the more you care about it, the more important it is to you. the longer that time frame goes that you're going to take extreme good care of it. You're going to put it back in its original box. You're going to, if it's a car, you're going to wax it down, you're going to vacuum it, you're going to clean it, you're going to do all the things that you need to do to it to keep it in tip-top shape. And at some point, though, you're going to start to go, you know what, I spilled something. I'll get it later. Or you're going to start eating your car more often. There's going to be crumbs. You're going to be like, oh, I know I needed to get the oil change at 3,000 miles or at 6,000 miles or whatever the kind of oil you're using and when it needs to be changed and what kind of motor you've got. But you're going, I can make it another 1,000 miles. I bet I can make it another month. I bet it's not going to be that big of a deal. And you're going to stretch those things out, which always cause problems on the other side. Whenever you go against what the manufacturer said is recommended service, recommended care and cleaning, there's always going to be an issue down the other end. How long it takes to show up is going to vary, of course. So how does that correlate to your health? Well, we do that with our bodies. We assume that our body's going to last a long time. We assume our car is going to last a long time. So there's a point where we go, you know what? Okay, now I've made it past that initial phase, that whole, that newlywed phase of having a new car, and it no longer smells like a new car. And so now I guess I can start not abusing it, but just misusing it a little bit. Just, like not keeping it up to date, not keeping it quite clean. We do that with our bodies. Because there's a point where we say, you know what? I mean, it's just the way it's going to be. Everybody sort of gets to this point. And at 40, everybody seems to get a little bit slower and a little bit achier. And it seems to take a little bit longer to do things. And at 50, nobody's supposed to be able to do this anymore. So I'm not going to stop doing that active thing. At 60, I'm just supposed to sit down and not do anything and watch TV. And it's okay if I just eat whatever because, I've already made it this far, so I can just eat crap and it's going to be fine. We do that with our bodies. We get to this point where we think, we don't need to take care of it anymore. We don't need to be as vigilant in our care for our bodies because, we've already made it this far. Might as well, slack a little bit here and there. It's not going to hurt that much. But what we forget is that the value of the car, if you watch some of these antique car shows, you'll see that some of these cars that most people bought brand new and most people failed to continue to maintain. And so now the ones that are maintained and the ones that are in good shape and the ones that have been cared for are now very well cared for. They look great and they're super expensive. They've actually gained in value compared to most vehicles. You hear the story, you drive it off the lot and it's gone down in value. A year down the road and it's gone down in value. So cars go down in value because you're using them. You're getting, you're getting the use out of them and it's driving the value down. But at some point, that curve turns back up because all those other people that had that car start to tear them up. They start to abuse them. They, get stains. They have things replaced. Now it's not new anymore. Same thing happens with your body. You do that with your body. You abuse it. You get to 40 and I'm just like everybody. And then all of a sudden you start passing away in your 50s and 60s. And you've got friends that are passing away in their 50s and 60s because they didn't take care of their body. They got chronic issues that are popping up here and there. And then all of a sudden, you know what? The people that are in their 70s and 80s that have taken care of themselves that whole time, the value of their body, the value of their life, the value of their ability to do things goes way up. Because now they're retired and they've saved money and they've taken care of themselves and they can go do whatever they want. And now they're the ones that everybody's jealous of because they can do whatever they want. And that's, in our society, that's the quote unquote, the thing that we're striving for is that retirement age to be able to go do whatever you want. Not that retirement age of now I can't go do anything because I'm paying my medical bills and I'm stuck in my house because I've got all these doctor's visits that I've got to go to all the time. And so the value of your daily life is dropping. Not to say that your life is any less valuable than anybody else's. That's not what I'm trying to get at. What I'm trying to get at is that the value that you get out of life, the entertainment value, the recreation value, the spiritual value, the emotional value, the mental value, the physical value, all of those values that you get out of life drops considerably when you have chronic issues going on. Chronic diseases, chronic pain, chronic medical conditions that you have to care for on a regular basis, on a daily basis. The value of what you can get out of life starts to drop. So don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on taking care of yourself. It is about constant maintenance, and it is about constant care. And that can be a struggle for some. I understand that. But if you're not doing it, you're only going to go down the curve. You're never going to hit that bounce back where you come back up. Because you're only going down the curve. You're only getting in worse condition and worse condition. And so while we all start to go down a little bit, some of us that care for ourselves, that do our regular exercise, that eat properly, that eat healthy foods that are nourishing the cells that we have, the vegetables, the variety of vegetables, not just vegetables, but the variety of vegetables, and not cooking them in processed oils, but eating them raw or eating them steamed, getting as much nutrients as we can out of them. People who are doing that are going to have a much higher, not just going to bounce back, but are going to have a much higher bounce back. And are going to see a ton of entertainment and a ton of recreation and a ton of emotional, spiritual, mental happiness and value out of their later years in life. Because they're just going to be able to get around more. They're going to be able to do more. They're going to be able to see more. They're going to be able to be involved in more. And it's just going to be more fun. And while working to make a lot of money is not necessarily the goal, working on yourself so that you can live longer and enjoy yourself once you retire, I think should be the goal. So yes, you need money to retire on and be able to do all those things. So that's an important factor. But the bigger factor is making sure that your body is fit and healthy when that day comes so that you can spend that money on you having fun and not spend that money on you simply trying to stay alive. That's a big difference. And it's a big difference when you've got a vehicle that is 25 or 30 or 40 years old and you could spend a ton of money trying to refurbish it, trying to keep it running because parts are going to be seldom, parts are going to be rare, they're not made anymore, all those types of things. Or you can just keep it and maintain it and keep it going and keep it in good condition to where you don't need those parts because they never failed because you've kept it up. And then the value just goes through the roof. And you can, if you want, sell that vehicle and make a profit on it versus the amount that you paid for it originally. So just a little correlation. And I think it's something that we do. I went a lot on vehicles, but the same thing pertains to anything else that you buy that has an expense to it that's at that point where you do all the research on it. That's what we should be doing on our body. We should be doing all the research on not just assuming that this product is sold in a grocery store, so it should be good for me and it should be okay for me to eat. And so the next episode, I'm actually going to talk about nutritional values and how to read a label and that kind of thing. So stay tuned for that. But make sure that you're doing your research on is this product that I'm consuming really healthy for me? Because there's nothing more valuable than your body. And there's nothing that you should be willing to spare any expense on than your body. And that expense, I mean, not necessarily the medical expense, but I'm talking about the health expense. You shouldn't be afraid of buying fresh vegetables because they cost a little bit more, because that is an excuse that's going to lead you towards a life of huge expense when you get to your 50s and 60s in medical expenses. So pay the cost early to save the cost later. Pay the cost of maintenance early, and you'll have a huge value later in life. Thanks for checking out the All in Health and Wellness Confidence Through Health podcast. Our goal is to use health as a conduit to help you reach your goals in life. A little lighter than me. I'm about to black out. Her grip is getting tighter on me. I think I like it deep inside. I feel the fire in me. She like the milky, see the cream into the coffee to me. She got soul in her sway.